Greetings! Teak here. Now that the latest Mortal Kombat game is out and has everybody's blood pumping, I figure this is a good time to do a bit of history on the greatest ninja rivalry in video games. Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So, once upon a time, Sub-Zero and Scorpion were both hired by Quan Chi to steal a map. Sub-Zero was a Lin Kuei assassin and Scorpion was a ninja from a rival clan, so this didn't go over very well. Sub-Zero and Scorpion eventually came to blows over the map, and Scorpion kinda lost his head, if you know what I mean.
Fatality.
Not long after that, Sub-Zero ended up traveling to the Netherrealm to steal back an amulet from Quan Chi, and that's when things kind of got awkward. Now a vengeance-obsessed ninja specter, Scorpion is pretty pissed about the fact that his whole clan is dead, including his wife and child. Not to mention that whole decapitation thing. But Sub-Zero gets out of the Netherrealm alive, gets the amulet back, and saves the day. When Sub-Zero returns to his master, he gets a pat on the head and another assignment, a mission to participate in the next Mortal Kombat tournament. In fact, Shang Tsung personally delivers this invitation, which is weird because the whole reason Sub-Zero entered the tournament was to kill him. And there he is, standing right there. Whatever. So Sub-Zero is making his way through the tournament, and who shows up? Scorpion, ready for round 3. Sub-Zero faces off against the Undead Ninja, and it doesn't go nearly as well for him this time around. In fact, you could say things get rather heated. Scorpion, satisfied with his vengeance, moves on with his afterlife until he gets word that there's going to be another Mortal Kombat tournament in Outworld, and that Sub-Zero is participating. Scorpion enters the Outworld tournament thinking he's going to finish what he started, only to discover that this Sub-Zero is the younger, more merciful brother of the original. The younger Sub-Zero, hearing about his brother's death but not knowing the details, entered the Outworld tournament to get some answers. Feeling kinda bad about killing his older brother, Scorpion spares the younger Sub-Zero. They part ways on good terms. Sub-Zero gets answers about his brother, and Scorpion goes back to hell. Sub-Zero and Scorpion weren't the only ninjas at the tournament either. Sub-Zero's BFF Smoke tagged along while the mysterious Noob Saibot hung around in the shadows. Sub-Zero and Smoke returned to the Lin Kuei only to find out that their master has decided to turn his ninja assassins into ninja cyborg assassins. Smoke gets captured and turned into a robot while Sub-Zero is forced to go on the run. And as though things weren't bad enough, Shao Kahn manages to merge Earthrealm with Outworld, absorbing the souls of nearly everybody on Earth in the process. Of course, even though Sub-Zero has a front row seat to the end of the world, he's still got his own problems to deal with. The Lin Kuei aren't around anymore, but the soulless cyborgs are still programmed to hunt him down. Scorpion, on the other hand, breaks out of the Netherrealm again and finds himself working for Shao Kahn alongside the mysterious Noob Saibot. Realizing that he still owes Sub-Zero a debt for killing his brother, Scorpion betrays Shao Kahn and ends up back in hell for his trouble. Meanwhile, Sub-Zero goes 2 for 3 in reforming the cyborgs. He manages to reprogram Cyrax, who ends up getting lost in the desert. He also rekindles the last spark of humanity in Smoke, who gets wrecked and abandoned in Shao Kahn's fortress. Still, Sub-Zero manages to help the rest of Earth's champions defeat Shao Kahn and save the day. With the Lin Kuei in ruins, Sub-Zero is a free ninja and a bona fide hero. But his past still haunts him. Well, his brother's past, technically. It turns out that the original Sub-Zero didn't steal back Shinnok's amulet after all, and Quan Chi uses it to help the Elder God escape the Netherrealm and take over the universe. To make matters worse, Quan Chi managed to convince Scorpion that it was the younger Sub-Zero who killed his family, putting the Ninja Spectre back on his revenge kick. Scorpion is just about to kill Sub-Zero when Quan Chi decides to open his big mouth. He admits to killing Scorpion's family himself right before trying to send Scorpion back to the Netherrealm. But it doesn't exactly go how he'd hoped. Scorpion gets the happiest days of his undead life, hunting Quan Chi right up until he escapes the Netherrealm and allies himself with Shang Tsung. They make their way back to Outworld to raise the army of the Dragon King, which isn't good for anybody. After reforming the Lin Kuei as a force for good, Sub-Zero decides to set an example by personally heading out with his student, Frost, to take on Shang Tsung and Quan Chi's deadly alliance. They work well together, right up until the part where Frost betrays her master. Frost steals Sub-Zero's power-enhancing medallion and accidentally turns herself into a big chunk of ice. Scorpion doesn't fare much better, actually. He tracks Quan Chi to one of Shang Tsung's temples and walks into a trap. The ninja ends up getting thrown into a Soulnado by a couple of demons. That should have been the end of Scorpion, but the Elder Gods intervened. They brought him back and he agreed to be their champion and stop the newly resurrected Dragon King in exchange for the lives of his clan to be restored. Sub-Zero got an upgrade as well, discovering a set of ancient armor that boosted his ice powers even further and kinda made him look like the Shredder. All the better to fight off the forces of the Dragon King, I suppose. Of course, Sub-Zero always has personal stuff on the side. In this case, Noob Saibot has reactivated Smoke and is using him for his own purposes. This is when Sub-Zero discovers that Noob Saibot is actually, dun dun dun, his older brother, the original Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero barely escapes and heads back to the Lin Kuei Temple only to find a psychotic Frost killing his students. Sub-Zero puts her back on ice until the end of the universe, which, as it turns out, isn't that far off if Scorpion has anything to say about it. Royally pissed at the Elder Gods for bringing his clan back to life as hellspawn specters like him, Scorpion decides to screw them over by killing the demigod Tavin, who is key to preventing Armageddon. Tavin also happens to be the guy who helps Sub-Zero fend off an attack on the Lin Kuei Temple by Noob Saibot and Smoke. And really, it sucks to be Sub-Zero. His student went nuts and wants him dead, his best friend got turned into a robot and wants him dead, and his dead brother became corrupted by darkness and wants him dead. Still, ever the optimist, Sub-Zero joins the forces of light in the Battle of Armageddon. With literally the fate of the universe at stake, the forces of good and evil fight one last time. And just like old times, Sub-Zero faces off against Scorpion. After years of being allies and enemies, this will be their final battle. So who wins? Well, nobody. At the battle's end, Scorpion is dead on the ground with Sub-Zero's sword sticking out of his back, so I suppose Sub-Zero got the last point. Not that he was around very long to enjoy it. He ultimately gets finished by Baraka. Not his brother, not Smoke, not Sector, Frost, or any of the other characters he's faced off against over the years. The Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei goes down to freaking Baraka.
Pathetic.
And that's a history of Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and if that seems like a lot to process, don't worry, because right after everybody dies, Raiden mucks up the time stream and creates a whole new reality. The new timeline is mostly similar to the events from the first 3 games. Scorpion kills Sub-Zero, the younger Sub-Zero and Smoke go to Outworld for answers, older Sub-Zero becomes Noob Saibot. The biggest difference is that in this timeline, Smoke isn't the one that gets captured by the Lin Kuei. Instead, they take Sub-Zero and he's the one that gets turned into a ninja cyborg assassin. But I guess he gets better at some point, because he's human again in Mortal Kombat X. He has a human beard and everything. So who's your favorite ninja? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and...